Today, I'll have an interview with Arman Sarhaddar. He is the CEO of iVault AG. And as a seasoned wealth manager and entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in leading and launching successful businesses in various sectors, he has a strong passion for innovation and social impact. Currently, he is the CEO and founder of iVault AG, a Web3 lifestyle app to reward sustainable living. In this interview, I asked Arman his experiences with building a product on blockchain and what the lessons and advices he has learned and would give it to future Web3 entrepreneurs. Welcome to this interview, Arman.
Thank you, Jessie.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and also the iVault project? What is it about?
My name is Arman Sarhaddar. I'm the CEO and founder of iVault AG. I'm actually coming from traditional banking. I was an investment banker for over 20 years, and I actually invested in a lot of startup companies and saw them, some of them really making good money and being very successful, and some of them absolutely losing it. So from that experiences, I learned a lot how to actually build a business from scratch and how to actually scale it up. iVault is a consumer app that was actually launched at the end of 2021 based on a personal experience I had. I had put my personal assets in a storage facility, which was robbed, basically, and that prompted me to the idea to put all your assets, what you have, as a digital twin in your vault. So the first app was pretty a good success. Within 12 months, we had 7,000 active users, 50,000 installs. And based on the first version of the app, we realized, because we had also other functions in it, like the lending function, that people use a lot of this sharing and lending function. And we thought, okay, that's a great idea where we can scale the business, add it as an additional function. And we just actually launched the second version of the app at the beginning of October, and have already over 5,000 active users now with the second version. And that actually includes a complete marketplace where you can share, lend, sell, donate used items, and actually get rewarded through eco points. So we're incentivizing sustainable behavior in the marketplace, which is not heard of by now, because there are sharing platforms where people don't get incentivized for being sustainable. And in addition to that, we have the lost and found function, increased it, optimized it with a missing person alert and a community board. So the app is really providing three major functions to the community, and it's all based on Web 3.0. That means through blockchain.
I want to dig deeper your personal story and the origin of the iVault business idea. You mentioned that you put your personal items in a vault, like a physical vault, and it got stolen. Like, what happened?
Basically, I moved from Miami to Zurich in 2011, and since I made a fast decision, I had a lot of assets like a production studio, Persian carpets, a Shiva, a wooden-made Shiva, or it was a Buddha, a wooden-made Buddha, I'm sorry, into a storage facility, which is actually accesses only with your own key fob and your own key, and there's cameras and stuff like that. And I thought they are very safe there. Little did I know that we could look over on top through the fence on the top and see what things are there. So if they see a European leaves assets into a storage facility and doesn't come and look for them for years, they rob it. So, and I knew it was an inside job, but I never had the evidence to prove it. And that actually, this misery, this emotional pain I had, prompted me to the idea to actually write a patent about it, where you can actually write digital twins in your own blockchain with your private key, where only you have access. And once something gets lost or stolen, you actually push the button and you can put this item into a search engine, offer a finder's fee, and the community can help you retrieve the product to the rightful owner. That was actually the first version of the app, and it was pretty good. But for us, it's important that a lot of people use the app, and how many times get things stolen or lost, not that major or big. So we added this sustainable behavior thing through the marketplace, because we know overconsumption is a huge problem as we have it now. Overconsumption leads to microplastic in the ocean, floods, stronger typhoons, stronger hurricanes, stronger tornadoes. We see it, wildfires in summer,
And we all feel the effects of climate change. We don't need to be a rocket science to see if we as a community don't make a difference, we will actually heading to a place that our children and grandchildren will not actually experience the world where we were brought up. So that was the idea behind it. So it's much a deeper sense. It gives an added value to the community because they can make money on the side. And actually with the echo points they receive, they not only can pay the publishing fee, but also convert them into tokens. That means they make money twice. And in the back of their brain, they know, hey, we're doing something good for planet Earth.
And is sustainability something you are passionate about, or it just came to you naturally as the product evolves?
No, actually, this whole sustainability effect rise up in the past 6-7 years for me when I saw where we're heading. Actually, with this overconsumption, I see it by myself. I have way too much clothes, way too much things, which I barely use. You buy an electric drill, you use it maybe once in your life. 95% of its life is actually getting dust. You can lend it to some student who needs it for a day, maybe get $5 or $10 or francs, and actually get echo points, and you're giving a helping hand, and that gives you a good feeling at the side. Yes, the whole core idea of the app is sustainability, because think about it. If your grandfather is getting lost because he has Alzheimer and doesn't know where to get, you just send a notification through the app, because we have an Amber Alert, and tell the people, this was the last time my grandfather was seen. Please help me find it. I give 50 francs to find him again. That's sustainable when he comes back. When your bicycle gets stolen, and a lot of bicycles get stolen in summer, and you get it back through the notification process of the app, you don't need to buy a new bicycle. You got your old one back. That's sustainable. If you're actually lending things, if you're selling shoes or stuff what you don't need and people don't buy it new, that's sustainable. We make actually a calculation where we said when you lend 6 times your electric drill to someone, that means if you buy 6 times less an electric drill, 160 kilograms of CO2 will be not actually getting out to the atmosphere. So every single function in our app, besides the community board, is sustainable. Why we did the community board? Because we thought it's a neat way where we can make people to engage with each other in the community. And the community board is actually YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram all in once. So what do you want more? You have a Web 3.0 app with all those functionalities, which gives you an incredible added value, not only for the person who uses it, but also for planet Earth, which we know it. And in addition to that, you have this community board where people can actually engage with each other. With the benefit, all is in the blockchain. That's why it's called iVault. It means my identity is in the vault, because I have my recovery phrase. Nobody else has access to the vault than me. And we know what Web 2.0 is doing with our personal data. They're selling it without asking. All the big ones, I don't need to call any names. We know them. They're selling your information without asking you. You get personalized advertising, which you're not asking for. And that's what I think is also the next big stage, because Web 3.0 is basically the industry of value. And we are actually, and people who are using those apps are getting more and more aware that this is also a huge benefit to have.
And you mentioned that the product was launched in end of 2021.
The first version was launched in 2021, but that was just only the lost and found app with one function where people can ask themselves questions and also lend things to each other. And based on those 3-4 functions we had, we could read basically the best KPIs and said, okay, that's the best place to actually scale and optimize the app, because that's what big app companies doing nowadays. They actually put out an MVP or put out the first version and see within a time frame of 12 to 18 months what works best, and read their KPIs, and based on that, their scale. And that's what we did too, basically.
Okay, so you first build an MVP and you collect some feedbacks from users. And then based on the feedbacks, and then you extended the app, make it a bit more comprehensive.
More comprehensive, much more prettier also from the design, and actually added the blockchain, which is a very important part of the app. The first version was not, it was more Web 2.0. And this version is a Web 3.0, where every transaction you do on the marketplace will be backed through a smart contract, as through Tails or SparkNet from CoreLedger.
Mhm.
And when you think back in the past few years during your product development, on this journey, what are some of the unexpected challenges when it comes to product development?
There is always a lot of challenges in product development. I think the challenge is always to find the right user experience and also an app what is actually used by everyone, which is easy to understand. The second one is definitely if you want to create everything from scratch, that takes a lot of time. That's the reason why we use CoreLedger as the blockchain backend, because there we have a turnkey solution which we can use, and we don't need to invest another 100,000 or 200,000 francs in another 6 to 12 months, if not longer. So that was actually ready to go. That was the benefit of it. But obviously from the front end and also from the back end and also from the server, everything we need to do regardless, because it's our app. But challenges, you always have challenges when you go. And I think you should not think about the challenges too much beforehand, because then you never start. You just go, just do it and go and fix as you go, because challenges are also sometimes could be very enticing if you find a solution and that works fine. But there's always challenges coming. The biggest challenge is to get the critical mass when you create an app. How do you get 10 million or 100 million people using the app? If you're not Facebook or Meta, who has already 3 billion users, for them it's easier. You just switch them over and say, hey, we have 30 million users in 30 days. But if you have to do it from scratch, then you need obviously really good marketer, you need really good growth hacker, you need really good team who knows how actually you build this critical mass. And that's basically, besides getting a finished product on the market, I think the biggest challenge for apps at the moment to receive the critical mass, how you can get the critical mass the best way. And we are right now in the middle of growing. I'm very grateful that within 4 weeks, we had already now 5,000 active users, and it's actually going up. And we didn't even send out all our registrations yet, because we want to time it with the token sale, obviously, which will be by the end of this year. But challenges, I think the critical mass is a bigger challenge than when it comes to the it's the biggest challenge from the product development as it is.
Okay. And you mentioned that you decided to use CoreLedger's technology, so that saves you time and money for product development. But do you also have other teams, like experts in-house or external, that you use for other components? Can you take us through that, how you assemble all the elements of people from different domains together and make this product ready?
Yeah, first of all, we had the same developers who did the first version of the app. We included some of our designers as well when it comes to the design of the app, because we were not happy with the first version. We were not really happy with the version that our developers offered us. We have really good designers in-house. They help with the whole UX. And actually, we then contacted Hannes, and Hannes obviously is a great person. I met him as a person, I liked him as a person, and this is for me the most important thing before I do business. I need to like the business partner. If I don't like him, I don't do business with them, because obviously there's some chemistry which is not aligned, or frequency. So that was the first step. I really liked him. I really believed in his project, and I got my developers in touch with his developers and his team, and we spent many hours digging into SparkNet and Tails, so they understood it. And once they understood it, they can actually connect it to the front end, which they finished basically at the first part of the production. And now the whole system is up and running, and I'm pretty happy, because Hannes is offering a turnkey solution to companies who really don't have too much time or too much money and want to have a turnkey solution to put on their front end or whatever they're doing, basically. Because Hannes' product is not only for consumer, but also for business-to-business solutions. So in our case, it really helped with our app solution to have this factor of the blockchain and Web 3.0 connected to it.
Which piece of the technology within CoreLedger do you use for your product?
It's called SparkNet. It's basically the blockchain where when transactions are made, people can actually, once the transaction is done, copy or scan the QR codes, basically. And once the QR codes are scanned and it says the transaction is made, then this part is recorded in the blockchain. As well, the vault, when you have your assets all in your personal vault, those pictures are all with a hash in the blockchain, so they are all designated to a hash, because obviously pictures will be way too big to put in the blockchain. It would actually not be useful, but all those informations in the vault are in the blockchain, as well all the transactions which are made in the blockchain, in the marketplace, are also recorded in the blockchain. And what we also have is obviously then, when it comes to the token sale, basically we have our own iVault token, because we also own our own ledger with CoreLedger. So then the tokens will be also running on EVM, which is basically also the basis for CoreLedger.
Okay, all the Web3 elements that you are using the CoreLedger's infrastructure in the backend, and then you have your development team that is building on it and then make it front end ready for the end users.
Yeah, we have a front end with all the design elements. We have both app versions, Android and Apple, and obviously the front end comes to a back end, basically where you have your database, Elasticsearch, and all the AI tools. And that, again, is then also connected to the blockchain, to SparkNet, for the transactions and for the information you put in the vault.
Mm-hmm. And looking back 2021 till now, it's almost like 3-4 years that you have been building iVault. If you could have done it again, what are some of the things you think you could have done it better to speed up the process?
I never think this way back, because then I would start with self-doubt and I would start to say I did a lot of things wrong. I did a lot of things right. I think this is not the right to do business as an entrepreneur, to go back, because every step you go and every step you do is a learning process. You're learning from something, and that's called experience. And even if it's a good experience, a bad experience, it comes to your repertoire. You should never ever think back and say, oh, I should have done this or should have done this. Unfortunately, I'm still doing it sometimes, but this is not the right way. I obviously just do it and try to do the best out of it. Try to have a team who you can be grateful of, who can help you. Obviously, you can be pushy a little bit with your team, but still never look back and say, I could have done this better, could have done that better, because it's experience. And experience, no matter what you do, as long as you do it, it's good.
Yeah, that's a very positive view looking at on your own entrepreneurial journey. And one question I'm touching on this in terms of product development, the timeline you needed, is because when I talk to other Web3 entrepreneurs, some might have the expectation that, hey, within the next 6 months, I'm going to get an MVP out. Within the next year, I'm going to get the first version out. But in reality, it might come out like a year later for your MVP, or 2 years, 3 years later for the first version of the complete product. So what would you say to those Web3 entrepreneurs if they're stressed about timeline?
Okay, the timeline, it's great that that people stress about the timeline, because I think it's very important that you have some certain goal and deadline you put to yourself. But always remember, don't get disappointed. If you're taking 3 to 6 months longer, or if it costs you 30 to 50 or sometimes 70% higher, it always depends on what you want, and if you can come up with new ideas. And if you build a product, if it's an MVP or a full finished project, you always have to see it like building a house. If you build a house, you have to do the fundamentals, you have to do the windows and the doors and the kitchen and the appliances and everything what comes through. You will never, when you build a house from scratch, you will never ever finish the house in the deadline and with the money you actually expected. And this is basically the same with the software. I have to be very grateful, because yes, it took probably 4 or 5 months longer, but it was also my fault, because I came up with so many new ideas which I wanted to add to the app to make sure I have the perfect app. It doesn't need to be that way. You can have an MVP and start, but for me, the MVP was in 2021. This is now really the app which is good to go and still needs some improvements like everything else, because once you finish the house, yes, it has a kitchen, but maybe you want to buy a nice carpet there or nice painting on the wall to make it look good and shiny. That's the same thing with producing or making an app. So never give up your dreams, always think about it, always manifest, and don't be disappointed if it takes longer, because this is totally normal.
About building the house, right? You also need a budget to build a house. So I want to touch on the funding part. You mentioned that you used to work in investment banking, and from your past experiences and your current experiences, what would you think are the key critical checklist for a startup in order to be on solid ground to raise funds from investors?
Yeah, it's always, I think, 3 to 4 critical points which you have to always see. First of all, if you build a product, there must be a niche for that product. You can't build a product where you're an idealist and think it's going to be great and everyone's going to love it. No, first you have to do market research and see, is there a need for the product? Is there some added value for the users using it? Once you have a product, you have to make sure that this product is actually comparable to the competition, better when it comes to price and product. So it has to be price-wise also better to actually win as much as possible market share. And third of all, you need the right people around it. You need to be the right people surrounded. You don't need people who always say, yes, great idea, love it, brown noses. No, you don't need them. You need people who challenge you, who are skeptical about what you're doing. So you get actually thrive and get better and better. So if someone is skeptical about your idea, don't be sad or angry because you're in love with yourself or narcissistic. No, see it as a helping hand, because that actually makes you drive and getting better. So these are the 3 main components. And obviously the number 4 is you need the investors. So if you have a great product, you have the market niche, you're from the pricing good, you have the right people, which is the 3 Ps obviously, then you need actually the investors who are here. Because if you're actually waiting from one startup funding to another startup funding, you will run out of money. This is a big issue for a lot of startup companies. I'm very grateful and very thankful that we have very good customers and clients who know me for a long period of time, and they know that I'm actually a person who is actually putting all his focus and energies in one thing until it succeeds. So this is, I think, also a very important factor, to have the investors aligned when you need the money to expand or to scale, that they will be available for you.
Thank you so much. I think those are just 4 short points you mentioned, but it comes from years and years of experience, right?
Yes, thank you. 20 years,
Yeah.
25 years, yeah.
I have another question related to your product, and congratulations for having already thousands of users after its launch. What do you think are the key drivers to get the initial traction?
The key drivers of the initial traction is, first of all, you have to have a good marketing team when it comes to the design and presenting the product. Google is a good way to actually advertising or do growth hacking. The advertising you put out has to be really quick and easy to understand. It has to be enticing. It has to be nice design. People need to know from one picture exactly what the app is all about. So you have to have a really good brand owner as a branding department. The second thing is actually you need to know your key target, your target audience, where you want to start with the app. It doesn't make sense if you have an app which is in dollars to start in China or to do it in Europe. They have euros, or in Switzerland, Swiss francs. So if you're going to really know what is your target audience, you have to have a great branding. And that's where you can start with your messaging, which has to be very clear as the branding. Then you have a good opportunity possibility. And obviously, the most important thing is at the beginning, and that's what a lot of apps are doing wrong, it has to be free. You cannot launch an app and charge someone $9.99 or 10 francs or 20 francs if, first of all, they don't know what the heck it's all about. Second of all, they don't need it. They don't see the added value. If it's something else, if you have a dictionary with 50 million words for all languages, then they might buy it because they say, hey, I need it. But most of the time, it has to be free. The monetization to make money in those apps have to be very well thought, and can't be, no, you pay me this, then you can use the app. No, people are not going to do that nowadays.
Yeah, that I agree 100%.
I'm glad.
I have one last question. Is to the audience who are potential or future Web3 entrepreneurs or who are already building products on blockchain. What are the 1 to 3 key advices you will give it to them?
If you create a product, no matter if it's an app, a platform, whatever it is, what is giving a really major added value to your user base, then you know you're in the right path. But don't think it gives an added value. Do market research for that. Make sure there is not competition. Make sure that if there's competition, that you can beat their prices and be better. That's what we did. And the second advice is don't be depressed or sad if things don't work out the way you actually thought it's going to work out, because it's going to be a lot of disappointments. You're going to get a lot angry. The most important thing is, like Churchill always said it, never ever give up, never give up. If you don't give up and you always focus on your vision, what you want to do, the universe will help you. It will help you to get there, but you can't give up. These are the two most important things I can give people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'd also take those 2 advices by heart.
Definitely, definitely. And manifest, meditate every day, manifest what you want, manifest, because manifestation is a very strong tool. If you really do the work behind it, then you get to your goal, always.
I wholeheartedly believe it, because you are who you are today because of your past experience. But if you manifest, actually, you are making yourself, your future self, where you want to be, and change your state of mind. There, you can take yourself to the future. But if you keep thinking like now, it's going to be the past self.
Exactly, bravo. It's quantum jumping, what you're talking about. It's quantum jumping. That's what lots of people, successful people, are doing. You can do it by meditating each and every day and see yourself already in that situation with all the success, with all this, what people are using, and see what good you can do for planet Earth. And the universe is actually bringing you there. I know it's very spiritual where we're going through, but actually that helps. And it's the secret of a lot of successful people. It's a lot. This is because you don't get annoyed of things what happened, because the universe do it on purpose to test you, to see how you're reacting on that. If you laugh and you see it as an experience, then it's good. If you get sad and for weeks you can't sleep, then you didn't learn from that.
Yeah. So let's end this interview on this note. We continue the conversation. We might brand this interview with another title.
Absolutely. Sure. We can. Definitely.
Thank you so much, Arman,
Thank
for being
you.
here and share your wisdom and experience with the audience, and really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.